Well, I mean, okay. Well, let's think about it for a second, right? There's more women here than there are men, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? Is there a reason for it?
Because you want to argue with us,
well,
so that men in the comments can see we're discussing.
Whatever the reason is, right? There's definitely reasons behind why that is the case, right?
So you're saying, if all of us were essayed, we're
like you wouldn't just say you're all here coincidentally. And I wouldn't just say all the men are here coincidentally.
So
like
we're
there
here
was
because
mechanisms.
We're delusional is
well,
what you're
there's
saying.
no. I'm saying there's mechanisms which moved us all into place, right?
But what does that have
and
to
so
do
the
with
question is like even if all of this had happened, right? It doesn't give us a tell as to the mechanism for why it happened. Right? Could be with this particular sample size, for instance, that because you're all around the same age group, you're more prone and in a propensity to be in situations where such a thing does happen. Whereas we could get the same exact group of women from a different demographic.
He speaks
then
about
they have,
our job.
And they have absolutely none of those things, right? So you can't really just kind of say, well, even if it had happened to everybody here, that we could extrapolate that out to mean something meaningful.
It's because we are beautiful and because we are. Yeah, that's
no, I'm not.
Probably.
I'm not.
Like.
But something I'm talking about is that men are essayed by women too, and there's a very high percentage of that.
Yes, there is.
So like when we're
far more than is ever talked about. Yeah.
Like if we're generalizing each gender and just saying, basically you guys are saying women have it worse. Like that is what I'm hearing. And yeah, women have it bad, but so do men. And men are more likely to, you know, because that things aren't spoken about, and it is so highly, it happens so much with men, and it's just not spoken about. And it's just passed over like it's nothing.
Well, that's certainly a fair point. But did you get an answer on this, or?
Well, no, not really. I was just saying, so, but this just from my brain, right, is like, if you say, well, could this all just be coincidence that all of us here, yeah, it could, right? Because there's going to be mechanisms which drive things. And so that's why when we do sample sizes, you pull them from different demographics, different backgrounds, different, you know what I mean? That way you can draw commonalities so that you can extract data correctly. Like just, you know, a few women sitting at a table who say, this is my experience, even if all the experiences map up, it doesn't actually tell us anything.
I do want to ask a question.
How could it? You could agree that I could set out that even if this bad thing had happened to every single woman here, that we could take a completely different, even random sample size from the street and put the same exact women here, and it's more than possible that nothing ever happened to any of them.
I wouldn't say it's more than possible.
Yeah, it's not?
Yes, it's possible.
More than possible.
Why?
I mean, I don't know. It's just
why is it not more? Why? I'm sorry. What in the world would make that not possible?
Can I like get my phone and do a fact check? Because I've seen somewhere a statistic that says like it's over half of women that have been essayed or whatever.
Even if that's true, let's say it was 90%. You could still draw randomly from the street, get a same 9 sample, and still not one of those women had ever been essayed.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So we can't, so that's why I'm saying you can't draw like kind of those conclusions when you say, is that just a coincidence? Well, yeah, it could be. It could literally just be a coincidence, of course.
Okay.
You can have fears from personal experience. She wasn't arguing that.
No, she was. She said, is that just a coincidence?
I don't think...
Is that just a... What does that mean? What is that just a coincidence?
See, like you're nitpicking on little words.
No, it's not a nitpick. Well,
yes.
How is it a nitpick?
She just said like that and you just catch it so...
Yeah, you catch that one thing.
Yeah. Oh, damn, that bastard.
Yeah.
Like,
there's much more
on. Do you realize that people's thought patterns, the way that they think, and the way that they discuss things, they hinge on pillars. And pillars are usually assumptions, right? They hinge on assumptions. So yes, I lock in on the hinge, the pillar that holds the idea up.
Wait. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt this. I don't like to let certain things just slide. What was the stat that you just quoted?
Well, I asked if I could pull it up. I don't have that off the top of my head.
You said you think it's over 50% of women.
I think I know the stat she's referring to. It's like at colleges they say over 50% of women have been sexually assaulted. But then when you look into it, it's like.
Why don't you tell us what you heard?
I told you I don't have it off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. But it's something about like half or more than half of women
have been what?
Essayed or.
What? So when you say essay, what does that include?
Anything unconsensual that is where they've been touched without that.
So if a man were to tap.
What do you mean? What is that?
If a man were to tap a woman on the shoulder, is that essay?
No.
It's unconsensual.
Not sexual.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
well.
Yeah. Like.
How about sexual touching?
I have a question.
Sexual touching without consent?
Yes.
And much of that can be perception.
It could be harassment.
Well, hang on. But much of that could be perception. So, like, let me give you an example. If a guy's sitting at a party, he's drinking, a woman walks over and just, like, randomly starts rubbing his shoulders, right? I've seen this many times. Nobody says shit, right? However, that's definitely sexual touching. He definitely hasn't consented to it. It's just nobody gives a shit. Mm-hmm. Let's switch it. Woman sitting at a party, right? Doesn't know the guy. He walks over and just starts rubbing her shoulders. Do you think that would become problematic?
I think it's odd, but I personally, if some guy did that to me, I'd just be like, what? Like, I don't know. To me, that wouldn't be like scarring.
Sure, but if a woman said, okay, wait a second, that was sexual touching without my consent, would you agree with her?
I wouldn't agree with her, but I wouldn't look her in the face and say.
You wouldn't say no, right? You wouldn't say no, and so that's the distinction that's being talked about here. Is that, wait a second. The reason we clarify these terms and we want them specific is because it's very clear to me that when women in an unwanted way touch men, just nobody gives a shit. They just don't care.
No, I agree with you. I think I'm not trying to minimize the amount of SA that men experience. Like,
right. But this way the classification matters, because I'm not sure I would consider that SA. Right?
No, I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Just saying, I'm not trying to minimize.
But you realize how many of these kind of like tortured studies and stats that you would look at where the assumption of SA is that they would consider those categories, even though they maybe don't belong there.
Even worse, like wolf whistling is.
And if I will touch you now when we will go to smoke cigarettes, this is called as AS or?
You realize, so when you went back there to smoke a cigarette, did you note that I took a wide path, went all the way around you, never went anywhere near you, and came in just to avoid such a thing from even happening?
No, I didn't say.
I know, you don't have to worry about it. That's the difference.
I love it. You watch your back, bro.
You don't have to.
Go smoke a cigarette.
You don't have to worry about it.
No,
but guess what? But guess what?
We will call it as a sexual assessment.
But we do. We do have to worry about it.
Will it's called as sexual assessment or no?
I mean, who knows? But because the criteria is so gray, it's not really known to me or clear to me what could be considered assault or.
Living underscore donated $200.
What?
Holy crap! I've technically been essayed several times in my life.
You
by
probably
women.
have.
I don't report any of them. Society doesn't notice casual women essaying. Also, bear versus black man, or black man versus white man.
I'm more scared of a white man. I love white men.
Why would you be more scared of a white man?
So now, not only are you a sexist, but you're also racist.
Yeah. Just instant by category. But you see what I mean when I say, like, it's not, when you ask the question to me, it's not altogether clear without very specific criteria as to what that could even mean, because I think that, yes, I could be brought up on charges for potentially brushing up against a woman, even without having any untoward anything towards her. I just happened to not think twice. I was just walking by, brushed up against her. Do I think it's within the realm of possibility? I do. And that's the part men always have to think about. That seems like women, as they think that men are hyper predatory, right? And now the distance has the gap has grown and grown and grown.
You know why it's growing?
Yeah, it's not your turn. Hang on. So this is why, right? Now that we have to think about that all the time, you see this distance and this gap widen. And it's specifically because if you look at it like the example I gave with the shoulder rubbing, right? You're like, yeah, no, that's really not SA. But if she said it was, you're like, I wouldn't tell her no. And so that's why it's not altogether clear to me. It really
also,
isn't.
we had a girl on the show. I think you were on this panel, Andrew.
Well, I had a girl on the show take off her, clothes and like to assault me with her. Yeah. So whatever.
That's not what I was going to talk about. But there was a girl who was. We were having this conversation, and she said there was a study done here at the local university, and that it included catcalling that fell within the purview of SA.
Yeah, I was on that show, I think.
Or were you on that show? So I find these studies that they do, it includes all sorts of things, all the way from benign or mild harassment, all the way to like forcible violence. And I find like encapsulating all of those things into this sort of nebulous term essay is not particularly helpful.
It inflates the numbers.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right, but like when we're having this conversation, and it's I suppose some sort of framing where you're saying like the listener is going to interpret over 50% of women are at like full-blown forcibly, and they're walking down a staircase somewhere, some random man just starts beating them up and like.
Well, that's not what I said.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious, and I don't know if this is a bit inappropriate of a question, but I think you were saying like, I bet every single woman here at this table has been essayed.
I didn't say that.
You said you were though, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I'm just curious. I'm not going to ask the details. Who here has been essayed? Okay. Wait, sorry. Just show of hands again. Oh, you're wondering?
How many times?
Hold on. Oh, that's crazy.
Well, no,
bro.
here's the thing. You can't use that as an argument because a lot of women feel not validated in what it is.
That's right, they feel.
Wait, I do have a follow-up question.
They feel. It's not proven.
I do have a follow-up question.
Some of them
Hold
feel
on.
not.
Allow me to do the follow-up question first. Stop. Okay. Those of you who raised your hand, did you go to the police?
No, couldn't.
No. Did you? Yes, you went to the police?
Does that mean it didn't
Wait,
happen?
hold on. Is this the guy who, the choking thing?
There was a separate incident.
Okay. And then, did you go to the police?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was it. That was my question.
And so you're saying because we didn't go to the police?
No, I'm not saying anything. I don't know what happened or what didn't.
What is that proving?
Well,
I
A lot of men don't go to
And did you go to the
yeah,
police?
so I'll tell you the term, right? No, they would laugh me out of the building. Right? They'd laugh me out of the building, even though it was clear on video.
So
they would laugh me.
Seriously.
They would laugh me out of the building. It's not even an option for us. But the thing is like, so to kind of dive into this, all Brian's trying to say is like, if you have this kind of hyperinflated number, which would include things like catcalling or things which clearly are not sexual assault, right? These should be in kind of totally different categories, and the reason they're put into the same is to inflate the number, thus making men look far more predatory than they actually are. So if that is the case, then, and you can even see like kind of with your rah-rah feminism that pops out really quick.
I wouldn't say I have a rah-rah feminism.
Well, you did, and I'll explain where I saw it. I'll explain the exact moment that I saw the rah-rah feminism. It was when when I said, yes, I feel, and you're going to invalidate? Well, yeah, and here's why. You have to invalidate feelings for proof and evidence with clear criteria, because otherwise, how do we get the actual number, right? You could I couldn't just say, do you feel like you were S8?
Right. I mean, then in court it wouldn't hold up. But
well,
I
it's
don't
not
think
just
that means
in
you
court.
should look someone in the face and say, well, then it didn't happen.
But it can't really hold up external to that either, because you're a number who would never make it into the stats absent court, right? Because you never went to court. So then, but you would be counted in this number. So how would we prove that? How could we falsify that other than...
You can't.
You can't, right? You can't. So this is why when people say, believe all women, it sounds to me like...
I don't think that's true. No, I disagree.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a total absurdity, because it's like, by your own metrics, you invalidate the very thing that we're supposed to believe.